Do you know some of the traits of borderline personality disorder? Some of the traits I am going to get into in this video are impulsivity. People with borderline may have the tendency to act impulsively, especially when they're feeling strong emotions. Unstable sense of self. People with BPD may have a difficult time with their self-image or how they view themselves. Unstable relationships. People with borderline may have intense but unstable relationships. They may idolize their partner one day and then despise or resent them the next. Emotional instability. People with borderline may experience mood instability due to marked reactivity. They may have intense and highly variable moods with episodes lasting from a few hours to a few days. Paranoia or disassociation. People with borderline may experience paranoia or disassociation under stress. This can include feeling cut off from oneself, observing oneself from outside one's body, or feelings of unreality. Suicidal or self-harming behavior. People with borderline have a significantly higher rate of self-harming or suicidal behavior than the general population. Inappropriate anger. People with borderline may have inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. Chronic feelings of emptiness. People with borderline may experience chronic feelings of emptiness. Disturbed patterns of thinking or perception. People with borderline may have disturbed patterns of thinking or perception. Not everyone with borderline will experience all of these symptoms, and the severity, frequency, and duration of symptoms may depend on the person. Here is also another list of 9 symptoms, but they're variable compared to the ones that I just read. Fear of abandonment. People with borderline often are terrified of being abandoned or left alone. Unstable relationships. Unclear or shifting self-image. Impulsive, self-destructive behaviors. Self-harm. Extreme emotional swings. Chronic feelings of emptiness. Explosive anger. I'm reading these because there was a part in here that really bothered me. Let's see. What does untreated borderline feel like? Decreased quality of life. They feel intense and unstable emotions, difficulty forming and maintaining relationships, impulsivity, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts or behavior. What is high-functioning borderline like? Intense episodes of sadness, shame, guilt directed towards self, social withdrawal, fear of rejection, sense of criticism, and distorted self-image. Usually, borderline peaks in early adulthood and then declines during the course of life, and that I don't necessarily agree with, but maybe I was just misdiagnosed for many years. It says, does it worsen with age? Mood swings, anger, and impulsiveness often get better with age. The dark side of borderline is increased mood swings and feel uncertainty about how they see themselves. Commonly Borderline is commonly mistaken for health problems, mental health problems such as bipolar disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, and psychosis. What do people with borderline not like? They don't like highly sensitive, or they are highly sensitive to abandonment and being alone. Strange behaviors, impulsive and often dangerous behaviors such as spending sprees, unsafe sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, and binge eating. What are borderlines good at? Being bold, courageous, and having the ability to speak one's mind, which I'm totally guilty of. I'll tell you how it is. I'm not afraid. And this was something that I was confused by, but it says, what is the last stage of borderline personality disorder? And it says the 6th stage of the relationship. And it says, now alone, the borderline sufferer will likely go through a period of intense emotions and mood swings. This can manifest in a number of different ways. Some may lash out at family and friends, while others engage in self-harming behaviors or further risk-taking. I don't understand what that means, but okay. And then it says, what are the 4 stages? They're widely accepted types of borderline personality is discouraged, impulsive, petulant, and self-destructive borderline. You can suffer more than one kind simultaneously or at different stages in your life. Similarly, it is also possible for your condition not to fit any of these types. What do people with borderline say? People in a close relationship with a borderline adult, often liking talking with their loved one to arguing with a small child. People with borderline have trouble reading body language or understanding the nonverbal content of a conversation. They may say things that are cruel, unfair, and irrational. I really can't agree with that, because I'm pretty good at reading people, and then I call what I call chameleon. I will listen to the conversation and adjust my behavior of how they're talking and what they're talking about and how they're talking. So, like they say, not everybody is alike when it comes to these types of things. This one is what really kind of pissed me off, and I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. It says, what do psychiatrists think of borderline? And it says, it is an unfortunate reality that a diagnosis of borderline can indeed lead to rejection by the mental health system. If borderline were to be reclassified as, for example, a mood disorder, patients would tend to be seen as having a biological illness instead of having a problematic personality. And that just, it's like to just make shit up as they go. That just really upset me. Anyway, what kind of partner does someone with borderline need? Knowing how to help someone with borderline can be challenging and frustrating. You can start by providing moral support and sympathizing with them from an emotional standpoint. People with borderline who have a supportive partner and stability at home tend to improve sooner than those whose relationships are more chaotic. Is borderline inherited from mother or father? Conclusions. In some, genetic and environmental vulnerabilities put children of mothers with borderline at risk for borderline and related psychopathology. What happens if borderline is left untreated? About 8 to 10% of people with borderline die by suicide. Many people with untreated borderline also experience unstable or chaotic personal relationships and have trouble keeping a job. They have an increased risk of divorce, estrangement from family members, and rocky friendships. Legal and financial problems are also common. I can relate there because I have like one real friend and I hardly even talk to her, and I don't know if it's because of the way I am. I'm on disability for many reasons, and I never really kept a job. I have here and there, and I've been divorced several times. I am estranged from my entire family right now, and that includes my 2 daughters who are 18 and 22 and my son who's 27, and I'm estranged from them now for 8.5 years. And yeah, I've been in and out of jail because of my behavior, and I never thought to address it to my lawyer that I have mental problems that cause me to be the way that I am. Of course, financial problems because of the irresponsible spending, although I do pay the bills, and the most important thing is the bills get paid and on time. But as for irresponsible spending, that's getting loans and credit cards and things like that that you know you can't pay back and you don't care. Sorry. Does borderline qualify for disability? Speaking of which, that came up. Yes, according to the Social Security Administration, borderline personality disorder can qualify as a disability where it interferes with your job and makes it impossible for you to work, which is true because you can't agree with other people sometimes, with your managers, coworkers, just a lot of different things. What is the biggest trait of borderline personality? Core personality traits in borderline. The 3 personality traits, most common associated with borderline are okay, let's skip that one. I can't even pronounce any of those words. I'm sorry. Oh, this is interesting. What do people... Okay, just as a disclaimer, we're kind of going through this together. I'm reading them and learning about it, and you're learning about it as I'm reading about it, so it's kind of a journey. Yay. What do people with bipolar lie about? People lie most often about their feelings, their attitudes and opinions. Less often they lie about their actions, plans, and whereabouts. Lies about achievements and failures are also commonplace. What is the best job with borderline? None. Many people with borderline feel emotions deeply and find working in a caring role fulfilling. And I guess that would actually make sense for me, because I've always been the caretaker of the family. When somebody's sick, when somebody has cancer, when somebody has things like that, I'm always the one to take care of them. Change their bandages, cook them food, etc. It says many people feel emotions deeply and find working in a caring role fulfilling. If you are an empathetic person, consider jobs such as teaching, childcare, nursing, and animal care. That's maybe why I have so many animals. Oh wow. I just learned. I have 4 dogs, 3 cats, and 3 bearded dragons. And I still want to get a goat and a pig. A small pig. Pygmy? Pygmy goat? Pygmy goat. Anyway. What are some rarely known signs for borderline? For example, a person with the condition may have food habits that strongly resemble those found in a person with bulimia or anorexia. Experience mood alterations that closely mimic major depression or less severe forms of depression. Experience the potentially extreme manic episodes found in people with bipolar disorder. Now, the food, no, but the mood alterations, I have seasonal depression, so with winter approaching, I am bipolar, so that is depression. And then with borderline, I see that there's depression as well. So I am, no wonder I'm such a mess during winter. Anyway, so also experience potentially extreme manic episodes found in people with bipolar disorder. Again, I have the manic episodes because I have bipolar, so that's where it's really hard, is because when you have bipolar and you have borderline, they tend to mesh and they tend to cross paths. And when they cross paths, you don't know what is going on. You don't know which one is causing you to have issues. Okay, this one, I'm just sort of looking for things that are really, oh, this is really interesting. What is the hardest mental illness to live with? Borderline personality disorder is one of the most painful mental illnesses, since individuals struggle with this disorder are struggling with this disorder are constantly trying to cope with volatile and overwhelming emotions. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Wow. Sorry, this is just, I'm like learning as we go. What should you not say to a borderline? See, now we just are borderlines. Say, stop overreacting, or I don't understand you. Invalidates a complex inner experience and can create more defensive volatility in borderline. What should I avoid if I have borderline? In addition to sugar and caffeine, individuals with borderline may also want to limit their intake of processed foods high in artificial additives and preservatives. These chemicals can negatively impact brain function and mood regulation, potentially exacerbating symptoms of borderline. The thing is sugar, okay, but caffeine, I've been avoiding caffeine, and I've been thinking about jumping back on the caffeine wagon because the medication I take makes me so tired that I can't function because I'm so damn tired. Processed food, when you're on disability, for instance, me, you don't hardly get any money. B, the food stamps, or whatever you want to call it these days, I get $23. So how can I afford really healthy food? You get what you buy what you can afford and what the state can give you to afford. Oh, this is frustrating to read this stuff. How can you tell if someone actually has bipolar? Not bipolar, borderline. I told you I'm tired. Symptoms: emotional disability. The psychological term for this is affective dysregulation. Sorry, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just gonna skip their crap. Disturbed patterns of thinking or perception. Cognitive distortions or perceptual distortions. Impulsive behavior. Intense but unstable relationships with others. Oh my gosh, wow. I shouldn't even read this stuff. How do borderlines show love? At the start of a relationship, your partner with borderline might tend to idolize you and everything you do. They may focus all their attention on you, singing your praises and demanding your attention. They might see only the positives and feel you correspond to their interests and feelings. This I found interesting. Do borderlines have high IQ? Borderline I can't even think anymore. Is linked to above average intelligence, IQ higher than 130. I found that interesting. So that's why I'm such a smart ass. What are the bad habits of borderline? This discomfort can lead borderlines to self-mutilate, which sometimes provides them with a sense of release, or they may engage in some other type of impulsive, self-destructive behavior like spending, sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, or binge eating. Like, is binge eating like a whole pizza or a box of like Totino's pizza rolls? No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to be upbeat about this because I'm reading stuff that I don't like. Yeah. Let me see what this is. I'm just reading it because it's just a lot of, well, of course my opinion is bullshit because I'm walking in these shoes. Life expectancy, they say, is shorter. Here it's, what does low functioning borderline look like? That's quiet borderline. People with quiet borderline often mask their traits and appear calm even when they're struggling in their inner lives. They often want to please people at cost to themselves and may withdraw from others when upset rather than working things out. That's me. Not the quiet part, but the leave me the hell alone, I'm having an issue. What starts an episode just as feelings of rejection can trigger abandonment feelings in a person with borderline. Loneliness can also trigger borderline episodes. For example, if a close friend or significant other of a person with borderline is busy with work, hobbies, or other activities, the individual with borderline may feel abandoned, leading to a borderline episode. Now, I understand that because I get like that. I'm like, and I've heard about this. I texted you. Why didn't you text me back? Why are you ignoring me? I don't think we're friends anymore because you won't talk to me. You don't message me. It's like we don't understand other people have lives. And especially when you're on disability and you're home all day and you don't have, I can't say I don't have anything to do. I have plenty to do. It's just that sedentary of how some borderlines are. I'm like that. It's like I'll do stuff, but I'll do what I want to do, not what I have to do. Oh, what is the new name for borderline personality disorder? It is called borderline because doctors previously thought that it was on the border between two different disorders, neurosis and psychosis. But these terms are no longer used to describe mental illness. It is sometimes called emotionally unstable personality disorder, EUPD. What the fuck is that? That's new. Wow. So I think that, oh, this looks interesting. I didn't cut out. I'm just trying to read and trying to find things that are interesting, that are most beneficial to know. What is the hardest mental illness to live with? I thought we read that already. There was a different one. Oh, what do people with borderline, now that it has a new name, it's the first I ever heard of that. What do people with borderline hate the most? People living with borderline often have the fear of instability and abandonment. We went through that one. This is something I think I read or saw. What triggers borderline splitting? Many people with borderline form extreme characteristics about themselves, others, objects, beliefs, and situations during episodes called splitting. Situations associated with anxiety often trigger splitting episodes. While it may be difficult at times, coping with splitting symptoms is possible. Well, that didn't even make sense. It didn't tell me anything. Kind of pissed about that. Medication. Yeah. Antidepressants. People who have bipolar can't take antidepressants. It doesn't work. I'm just trying to look at what, the Joker? Okay, that's something else. So I just kind of wanted, there was, okay, here, this looks really important. What upsets a borderline? And I kind of touched on this, so that's why I want to go through this. This is good. What are triggers for someone with borderline? Not getting a return phone call when requested. Not getting an invitation to a party. No, I can deal with that. The lack of a response to a simple question. Not being called on in a classroom. Well, I'm not in school, thank God. And that never bothered me. I wanted to hide. Not being included in a decision-making process. Definitely. Being ignored, criticized, or judged. Those are all really good triggers. Or not really good triggers, but really good answers to that. So, what comes down? Somebody with borderline? Wow. There are several self-care techniques that you can adopt to help you cope and manage your disorder. Learning mindfulness techniques through meditation apps. Grounding yourself in difficult moments that you can bring your focus to the present time. Yeah, they tried that on me before they knew I was borderline, and it didn't do shit. I mean, this therapist like took a pencil and said, "Here, look over here. Now look over here," and it's just like, the fuck is that? That's so stupid. But they've tried everything on me. They've tried, all sorts of things. But anyway, I think I am going to leave it at that. I think that was informative. I hope that you gained some insight into borderline personality disorder. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. And I hope you don't mind that this was faceless, because I'm blind without my glasses, and I wanted to read things off my screen that I had that I found very helpful to me, and I hope it was helpful for you as well to somewhat understand this. To me, it's still really confusing because it's been a few years, but I was diagnosed, quite a while ago, and it still perplexes me because of the simple fact that it crosses over with bipolar, and I have a hard time dealing with that. It's like, make up your mind. Either I have this or I have that. And here comes the train, and it's going to get really loud. So, thank you for listening. I super appreciate you not minding that it was faceless. I think that I was able to get more content into the video, even though I told you that's gonna get, that's still quiet. So I hope you subscribe, because I have a lot of videos that are not faceless. None of them. This is the only one so far. So I hope you have a good night, and please subscribe and check out some of my other videos. Thank you. Good night.